Apple just soft launched an entire product refresh in 3 days. We're talking about a new iPhone, a new iPad, M5 Max, updated displays, and a new MacBook at a $599 price point that runs on an iPhone chip. Yeah, you heard that right, so let's talk about it. Across Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, Apple did a full stack hardware refresh. And if you look closely, there's a pattern here. You are looking at the same or lower prices, double the base storage, wireless hardware bumps, and Apple's also drawn a line in the sand of what it considers a base MacBook compared to the rest of its series. So let's dive further into what actually changed this week. Let's start with the iPhone 17e. This is finally a good cheap iPhone that doesn't have a ton of features missing right out of the box. Apple bumped it to the A18 chip, which is the same chip found in the rest of the iPhone 17 series. But the single most user visible upgrade is the bump in base storage from 128 gigs to 256 gigs for that same starting price of $599. Plus, they finally added MagSafe. So now you can take advantage of using any MagSafe compatible car mounts and any batteries that clip to the back of your phone. So now for the same price, you're getting double the storage, Apple's latest chip, and MagSafe. So if you're on a budget, this is definitely the phone to pick up. Moving to the iPad Air. This gets a bump from the M3 to the M4 chip, and that's really the biggest spec difference that you're going to see. You're also getting updated Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as more RAM on some of the mid and upper tier models of the iPad Air. If you were eyeing an iPad Pro, this latest release of the iPad Air probably covers most of your needs, especially heavy multitasking, given its updated M4 chip. Now onto the Macs. The new MacBook Air gets a generational bump from M4 to the M5 chip, but the biggest updates that you're going to see is updated bandwidth, doubling the base storage, and external display support. Base storage is doubled to 512 gigs, and the SSDs are actually much faster, fixing that old single NAND bottleneck from earlier MacBook Airs. And critically, it officially supports 2 external monitors. So now the MacBook Air actually behaves like a real multiple monitor supporting laptop without the need for any display link hacks. If you need actual workstation power, that's where the latest MacBook Pros with the M5 chips come into play. These basically have the best of everything, and Apple is claiming massive GPU gains in this space. Taking a look at the specs, base storage is now 1 terabyte, and sequential read and write performance has effectively doubled. The base unified memory now supports up to 64 gigs, scaling all the way up to 128 gigs on the high end. This tightens the gap really between true desktop workstations and laptops. You add in Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thunderbolt 5, and you're talking about a true workstation beast. If you're on an M1 or M2 Pro, this is a massive jump. If you're already on an M4, it's mostly a spec bump this year, focused more on I/O and just raw power. And to pair with those new Macs, Apple actually updated its 2 monitors in the lineup, the Studio Display and the Pro Display XDR. Really here are updated internals to help support more bandwidth. So you go from Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 5. The cameras are supposed to be better for video calls, but nothing too drastic here. It's basically a spec bump in order to support those new 2026 MacBooks. But the most interesting product that Apple revealed this week was actually the latest MacBook Neo. This product didn't exist before, and at $599, it's the first MacBook that doesn't run an M series chip, but actually runs the A18 Pro, which is found in iPhones. The MacBook Neo, starting at the $599 price, gets you 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, and for $100 more, you can double the storage and add Touch ID. By Apple releasing this in the $599 price range, it's definitely taking aim at those entry-level Windows computers and even some Chromebooks. So if you're someone that just browses the web, does very basic tasks, this is basically your entry point into the Apple ecosystem. Throughout this week's soft launch of products, Apple really didn't release anything groundbreaking, but I did want to point out that it's interesting that Apple really did focus on adding really good features and making their lower end products that much better. Think iPhone 17e, and then also adding in the MacBook Neo, really expanding everybody that is in the market for a laptop at around $600 really has a compelling option now. And then on the opposite end, they just went kind of crazy in terms of the M5 Pro and Ultra chips, making the base storage on the MacBook Pro 1 terabyte, increasing its bandwidth. Like the laptop, I have the M4 Pro right here, and I don't need any more from that computer, so the fact that it can get even faster is crazy to me. But definitely excited to see what Apple has for us in store when they go on stage at WWDC. If you're looking at picking up any of these products, please let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching these videos, and please subscribe.